All I'm saying is that when a character who's already been shady as hell can apparently hear voices, and that voice tells you the things that are going to happen, including you all being transported to some form of other dimension, world, who knows, right? I mean, it definitely feels to me that you may not be talking with the voice of God, but more so the devil himself, but anything's possible. Really, the more I watch of Sonny Boy, the more I question, are they in some form of purgatory? And is it more of a test to see do they go to heaven or hell? Because that's always like my first line of thinking when you get something like this, and it usually doesn't go in that direction, but it does give me some familiar vibes of like what Tales would do with that. But it very well could just be something of like some form of powerful being who is just doing this for fun to see what a group of high school kids can do given the circumstance. But there was some pretty big reveals in episode 3 that really, I mean, for what they revealed, I'm surprised it didn't come a couple episodes later. One of the biggest shockers for me was the fact that Mizu could apparently use her ability, which is to use her grandmother's cats to be Amazon same-second delivery. Screw Amazon Prime next day delivery, these cats will bring her anything she orders. And more importantly, whatever she orders apparently doesn't have to be, like, paid back to her. So if she says, hey, you want this burger, I can give it to you, but I'm not going to because like in the real world, the rich people never just handed it out for free. And most likely given the fact that she never got to be that rich person, she's pretty much living it up in luxury. It's pretty interesting because it raises the question, and as she even says herself, that it very well could be other people could have used their abilities in the school. That was the big thing, is that she could only do it at the school. So there's something about this point in their universe, the school being the hub of all the craziness, and I mean from literally just having people like pretty much self-isolate from the others. They, from what they can see, are just this black stone blob of what they used to be, but they can do what they want to do. A person streaming for no one other than himself can do that. If you want to make mannequins or dolls, you can do that. Lift weights, just chill on the couch on your phone. It's very interesting because there's definitely certain things that give me the feeling that a godlike entity is manipulating it versus a demon-like entity. I think someone like, what's his name, Hoshi? This dude, I feel like, is being manipulated by a very bad entity, and I'd be shocked if it's not. I mean, you don't just enter a demonic door for no reason if, you know, it's going to be a nice friendly god on the other side. But I think the idea of potentially having these characters who were kind of like shielded off from the others, that almost feels like someone granting a wish, but then again, you could also perceive that as a bad thing, and it was kind of clever the way they were able to deal with it by basically blowing the tarp away. Sonny Boy is one of those shows that the more I watch, the more I struggle with putting my finger on why I love the characters as much as I do. Because really, outside of maybe Mizu, there's no character I'm engrossed in to the point that I say, I love this character. And I could easily see a lot of people saying, Mizu, personality, not really for me, she feels like a spoiled rich girl. But honestly, I find her to be kind of a refreshing formula of like, not being a goody two-shoes, but also probably just living it up in a way that she used to see other people and now is just kind of going with the flow. And the fact that she could, in theory, make everyone's lives very easy. She very much holds the tipping point in power, I feel like, in a lot of cases, and as we see throughout this episode, when she's asking questions, people will point on a catalog what they want, and then they will help her out, right? She's very much a pushback against characters from the no cats allowed sign, but she's also, I think, very easy to use, which is why she reserves herself so strongly. And the fact that she clearly has a crush and is growing these feelings for Nagara, and very much feels jealous of the other girl, I mean, it's gonna brew some interesting conflict, and I mentioned it last week, I mean, if they are ready to go Lord of the Flies and go completely crazy after having suspicions last week, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And I think it's gonna be so interesting to see what the true end goal will be, because the end goal clearly, as it stands anyway, is they want to see if they can go back home. But there's all these different portals and so many different worlds, but the biggest question I have is which direction they're going to go with. Supernatural anomaly, or are they going to go more like religious, kind of like demon, hell, heaven type situation? And really, I think it's a coin toss, because in a weird way, even though I think they're vastly different, I find myself constantly thinking about Angel's Egg, the movie from the 1980s, which is one of my all-time favorite anime. I feel always like coming back to that, because that's a near silent film with like 3 words spoken, hardly any sound whatsoever. but it's this interpretation that you can make about purgatory and the afterlife and things like that. And even though I do think Sonny Boy and it are vastly different, the experience of looking at every single thing, and while there's so much dialogue and characters have their own personalities, I find myself questioning, what is this world exactly like the characters? And I think put in their situation, we probably would act very similar. Some of us would just go with the flow given our newfound superpowers. Others would be pretty distraught about what's happening, but I think there'd be a lot of people just generally confused and just going with the flow because, as far as you know, this could be a bad dream or your new reality. And I think that's why, even though necessarily I'm not engrossed in specific personalities, no matter who's on screen, like the one dude who's always by a chalkboard, who's trying to be like the scientist of the group, I really don't have a personal connection. But I find listening to someone who's actively trying to figure out what's going on to be an engaging experience. And someone who, I know a lot of people are saying Nagara most likely is like the person responsible in some way, even if he doesn't know it. I mean, in this episode, they're saying that most likely his power is the ability to open portals and jump between worlds. But I really feel like it's not him purposely doing it or anything like that. Maybe he is the reason they randomly open. But I just find it to be more of a freak accident and someone really wanting to have fun, because I could easily see them going the direction of the voice this character's hearing very well could just be another student with an ability to maybe cause destruction and chaos. Maybe they're just going to simply go that direction. They have to defeat and find the traitor among them. Maybe that's the direction. Or maybe it is more of a purgatory type situation, because I could easily see a satisfying end where, depending on how the characters interact on this island and the portals, that determines, do they stay there forever, do they suffer a worse fate, or do they get a second chance at life, a reincarnation route. Maybe people don't like that type of stuff, and maybe it is just going to be simply a sci-fi anomaly, which very well could work as well. But it is something that gets my mind racing, and I don't remember being this intrigued in a seasonal anime. I've seen plenty of shows rack my brain, make me say, what in the actual hell? But those were shows I watched long after they were completed. In terms of seasonals, and I've been really engrossed in seasonal anime since the beginning of 2013, I really don't remember ever being this entranced by a show for its mystery, and I have no idea what the hell I'm watching, but I can't wait to see more of. And I really am impressed with Sonny Boy. Definitely feels like it's getting better with time, doesn't feel like it's missing a beat, and the mystery is going to keep us just smashing our heads against a wall trying to say, well, maybe if we give ourselves a concussion, we'll have this brilliant Einstein idea, because it's really interesting. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts, though. What do you think? And what do you think about the voice in this one character's head? What do you think they're going with? Is it going to be something like a demon-like, or do you think it's maybe another power? Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.